What's up, everybody? Welcome to McWater's Effect. I am Matt, and today I'm going to be showing you guys a clip from from Tim Pool's recent live show he did with Milo. Now, some of you guys might not know who Milo is. He used to work for Breitbart, and he also worked on Trump's campaign in 2016. Now, he went on the show, and they're talking about why the Republicans might not win the midterms. I tend to think it's a little early to talk about that yet, but I definitely agree the pattern doesn't look good. But in Tim Pool's case, he believes the reason they're going to lose the midterms is because of the infighting, especially with someone like Candace Owens trying to destroy Turning Point USA. And Milo thinks it has to do with Trump and Trump alone, especially when it comes to his decision, when it comes to what he did with Epstein, and also when it has to do with deportations and also prosecutions. He mentions that as well. I tend to agree with Milo more, but guys, if you want to comment down in the bottom, let me know what you think after you watch the video. But let's go ahead and check this out. It's actually a really good conversation.
The fact that he is
indeed,
well, he is once again the president of Jerusalem and not the president of the United States.
Oh, come on!
That he is once again. I don't want to hear this from you. That he is once again releasing Jewish fraudsters who ripped off.
Just to let you know, that is George Santos on the side of him. That's who he waved at. Like, I don't want to hear from you. That's George Santos.
Poor people and specifically in the executive orders saying they don't have to pay the fines back, so they don't have to pay back their victims.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
But I'm saying, like, isn't it maybe a good thing that when it doesn't matter so much in a midterm versus when it matters a lot in a presidential election, that the right gets its you know what together, and that people have the opportunity to say. Maybe some of it was Candace, but maybe most of it was Trump. The fact that the midterms were an underperformance, and have the opportunity to say some of it, because some of it is what Donald Trump is doing.
I completely agree.
I completely agree too. I think a lot of the stuff Trump is doing when it comes to the lack of deportations that's going on right now, they seem to be slowing down. Also, the lack of prosecutions, and then you have the foreign policy aspect of it. I think that's really affecting them, especially with younger people.
Donald Trump.
I disagree. I agree that Donald Trump is dropping the ball.
Yes, when Donald Trump said, if you are, and I think I know why this is, because I think that Trump was probably a confidential informant against Jeffrey Epstein back in the day.
I agree with that. Yes.
I think he probably helped the FBI take Epstein down the first time.
Guys, comment down in the bottom. Let me know what you think about that. Do you think he helped the FBI take out Jeffrey Epstein the first time? I tend to agree with that, especially because of what Mike Johnson said, saying he was an FBI informant. And then he came back later on. He's like, oh, I misspoke. And I just don't believe that. I think he had something to do with that, especially since him and Epstein had a falling out in the early 2000s anyway. And I think he knew something was going on that shouldn't have been going on, especially since he's poaching girls from his Mar-a-Lago place. And he saw this as an opportunity to actually do something about it and tell the authorities, because authorities already started investigating him, because one of the mothers of the girls went to the authorities in Florida and told them what happened to her. And they started investigating. They went and probably talked to Trump, and then Trump told them what he knew.
That's the only explanation I can see.
Based on what? Mike Johnson said it.
Tell you, it's the only.
Mike Johnson said it.
What did Mike Johnson say?
What did Mike Johnson say? I missed it. And then he walked it back the next day saying, "Oh, I misspoke." I couldn't hear a word. What? Mike Johnson was asked a question at a press gaggle, and he said something to the effect of, you know, that's why Donald Trump kicked Epstein out of his club. That's why he was an informant to the FBI.
No, he's explicit. He said Trump was an informant.
I know. That's why I said he was an informant to the FBI.
Forgive me, sorry.
Yeah, he was saying this chain of thought.
Oh, I missed that.
Then everyone went, holy sh!
And then he rolled it back.
And the next day he said, no, I didn't mean it.
I misspoke. But in addition to that, and I think more importantly and more persuasively, because people do misspeak all the time, some of the awkwardness.
Not Mike Johnson.
Sorry,
not Mike Johnson.
Well, I mean,
very intentional. I know the man fairly well.
So maybe it is a powerful, more powerful than I think. But when Trump seized,
I think he did misspoke, but the thing is, it was one of those spoken words that he's actually telling the truth when he was supposed to just keep it in confidence. I disagree with Santos on that. He's intentional, yes, but he did not do that intentionally. He actually did that on accident, and then he came back and was like, "This, look, that was I misspoke," so on and so forth, trying to cover for Trump, so people wouldn't know that he pretty much ratted on Epstein. And Epstein had it coming, in my opinion.
Up in panic, because that's what happened over the subject of Epstein.
No, he didn't.
There's a limited number of explanations for that, where he kept making,
I agree with Milo.
He kept making very, very obvious missteps designed to piss off everyone who loves him most, like Marjorie, like me, everybody loves him most. People who, and I'm not saying that I put him in office twice, but I did the first time. I did help. I was a big component in the first time. But a lot of people who put him in office were like, what? Because Jeffrey Epstein, as Bannon has said, and who would know better than him, it turns out.
You're going to quote Bannon, who consulted for Epstein?
I just said who would know better than him, as it turns out.
I just want to make that very clear for everybody listening.
I just said who would know better, as it turns out.
Now, what they're talking about is after Bannon got fired from Trump's administration in 2017, he went to Epstein and talked to him and told him what was going on in the administration. That's the reason Epstein had a lot of information about what was going on in the administration when he talked to Michael Wolff and other people, other reporters. The other thing also, he had an interview with them that he recorded, Steve Bannon, and it's like 18 hours long or something like that, and he hasn't released it. He still has never been released. Why is that?
He said that Epstein was the key that picks the lock, right? Of all of the kinds of things that people are asking, like, what is going on here? Why is this like this? And why is that? Epstein was one of the central ideological planks of MAGA teleology. Like, why does the world work like it does? Why do things look weird? Why do those people keep getting away with it and those people keep not getting away with it? Jeffrey Epstein was considered by everybody who voted for Donald Trump as a central pillar of understanding that we would unlock, and it would be like a code where bits of the universe would get like decoded for us. Like, oh my goodness, it's because of that judge. It's because of that. Everybody had that expectation, and there isn't one person who voted for Donald Trump who did not want and did not expect the Epstein files to be released immediately, in full.
I did not have that expectation.
Let me simplify that a little bit with what Milo's saying. It's the key to actually see how the uniparty works and why the uniparty and the Republicans and Democrats in that uniparty work together and the connections there. And people like Epstein are the connections between the two parties in that way. And that's what he's talking about there.
And I did not vote for Trump.
Okay, fine. Everybody except George. Of course.
No, that's not true. There's so many people. I voted for Trump for many other reasons other than that.
Stop it. Grow up.
You think that puts food on the table?
Grow up.
Oh, come on.
It's about egg prices. Stop it.
Come on.
The part of the reason that Trump was elected in 2016 was that Hillary Clinton was emblematic of the way that the world was going wrong. The secret elite collusion, Epstein, it was all linked. And people who voted for him the first time and people who have voted for him every time since, you can't find me someone apart from George, apparently, who did not want to see the Epstein files.
Let me ask you.
And I promise I'll wrap up and let someone else go. But when he said there's no Epstein files, and then the Democrats made it up, and then stop asking, and then if you're asking, you're not a fan of mine, and then if you're asking, I don't want you.
I agree with all of this.
That is the moment Trumpism died.
I agree.
And don't we need a reckoning? And if
I don't know if it died, but it definitely hurt it extremely, especially with the young people in the conservative movement at the time, because this was one of the pillar things that they were concerned with. And also, I think the Generation X and even some of the boomers were concerned with this as well, and they wanted to know the truth. For not only because it would give us that key to what's going on in politics in DC, but also for the victims as well.
Died.
I agree.
And don't we need a reckoning? And if that reckoning comes through the obviously, I promise I'm nearly done, the obviously inadequate account from the feds and Turning Point about what happened around, before, and after Charlie Kirk's death, where his ride or die homegirl is asking questions that have exposed some inconsistencies and some questions, and which seem to point to a different etiology for the crime than the one that we're being told. And when everybody from Turning Point looks so sinister, suspicious, and guilty all the time, and they're losing to her. Respect the public on that at least. They're losing to her, and they have every reason to be winning. So she has every reason to be losing. Isn't it smart for us to have that reckoning in the Republican Party right now?
All right, guys, that's the end of it. Most of that I agree with Milo, except for at the very end. I'm not sure how Charlie Kirk's assassination really goes into what's going on right now with the midterms and stuff. You know, I understand that he was a big component when it comes to advising Trump, when it comes to foreign policy. He's the one that convinced Trump not to go into Iran and do regime change. And so that part of it, I understand. But when it comes to Turning Point USA and stuff like that, I just don't see a connection there when it comes to that. That's just my opinion. You know, y'all might have a different opinion. You comment down below and let me know. But everything else he said there, he's 100% correct. A lot of the stuff that's going in the Republican Party was self-inflicted by Trump himself by trying to ignore the Epstein files and not wanting to release them. Now, a lot of people, especially the Democrats, they pushed the idea that Trump was in the Epstein files, which we already knew is in the Epstein files, but they're trying to push that he was part of the whole pedophile ring, which we all know is not true, especially when it comes to him working not only with, in my opinion, he was working with the FBI, but he was also working with the lawyers of the victims. Why would he do that if he's actually part of it? He wouldn't. He wouldn't have anything to do with it. He would actually completely stay away from it. I certainly don't think he would actually ran for president, and that would be one of his things that he would promise to release if he knew exactly what was in there. And now he's seen what's in there, and he realizes, hey, this actually outs me when it comes to being an FBI informant, and it might out other people as well when it comes to being associated with Epstein, but not being associated with Epstein when it comes to what happened on the island. And he's afraid that's going to hurt them, especially since a lot of them are probably tech junkies that are involved in the construction of the White House that's going on right now when it comes to that ballroom, donating money. And also when it comes to AI and stuff like that, he doesn't want to hurt that progress. And I think that's pretty much the reason he tried to shut that down. And it's going to hurt him politically, in Milo's opinion. I tend to agree with him on that, but I think the big thing that's going to hurt him if he doesn't fix it is the economy. Also, he needs to get more prosecutions, and I think also more deportations. Those are the things that need to happen to actually get MAGA back in line to vote for him. A lot of people have left MAGA because they just don't see any of the stuff happening that they want to see happening. Now, deportations are happening, but not at the rate they want. You know, majority of people that have been deported are self-deportations. Like out of the 3 million that have been deported since Trump's been in office, which has almost been a year, 2.5 million are self-deporting. The other 500,000 are deported by the government. They don't think that's good enough. They think it needs to be even. 2.5 self-deported and 2.5 deported by the government. And is that expectation fair? I don't know. But guys, if y'all want to comment down below, let me know what you think. I really appreciate it. Please hit that like button, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.